Hey, how's it going, everyone? Sinister of the Gamer section, bringing you another interview with a dev. And of course, I'm your host, Sinister. And before begins, like if you enjoy the content, be sure you leave a like button. With no further ado, I'm gonna let our guest introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. Thanks very much for having me on the show. I'm Peter Ngui. I am one half of the team that created Dizzy Dwarves.
Okay.
We're coming here from Sydney, Australia.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Yeah. First things first. Going for the beginning. What got you into gaming?
Yeah, I'm an interesting case study actually. So both Jason and I are not huge gamers, but it might be an interesting story because there's probably a lot of people in our bucket who we dabble in games and we play games here and there. And as kids we play games and we want to, everyone wants to grow up and build a game, right?
All right.
And
That's cool.
so yeah, we had an idea and we just thought why not, and just went for it. And so yeah, we slogged at it and
All right.
eventually we built the game.
All
So yeah.
right. All right. Oh yeah. Before we get to Disney, George, like something else, like from do you have like a favorite console, or did you game on PC only before creating this game?
Yeah, so I'm pretty old. I don't look it, but yeah, I used to play when I was younger, and it was all PC. And I was when I'm talking games, some of your audience will have to stretch their memories back, but it was stuff in the old days like King's Quest and
Oh
Police.
yes, I love the the Sierra
Yeah,
games. I play the crap out of them.
yeah, and then Counter Strike I got into quite heavily, but then after that, it's mostly been like mobile games, so just
Okay,
playing here and there. But I wouldn't say I'm a heavy gamer.
all right, that's cool. As far as speaking of mobile, what led you to do mobile games?
It started with just an idea, really. So the concept for the game was pretty simple. We were thinking what would happen if you were playing a game and halfway through while you're playing the control switched over, and then it switched back. And so if your left became right and your right became left, and then the next thought after that was how would that go when you add speed to it. And so yeah, that was the basic concept for the game, and we thought we basically built upon that, and we really kept it quite simple.
Um,
So I don't know if you remember Donkey Kong, but
yes,
as a kid I played that for hours, and it's such a basic game, right?
yeah, I
And
never
so
played in an arcade, like popping in quarters, and I've seen many people play that version and the Crazy Kong after that.
yeah. And it's such a simple game, right? It's
Yes.
just hopping up, and it gets faster and more challenging. And so
Mhm.
we took our original thing and kept it kind of with Donkey Kong principles of keeping it simple and but challenging. And then yeah, we thought, why not? Let's go for it.
All right.
How hard could it be?
Right.
Little did we know.
All right. Tell us, how does your company, like, how did it start? Like, how many people are working there? Because I know you mentioned earlier, like, you're one half of it. Like,
Yeah, so at the time that we started building the game, I was running my own data consultancy.
uh-huh.
So it was me, and we were working closely with another group called the Navigators, who are
Okay.
in branding and research. And I'm in data and analytics. That's my background. And
Okay.
Jason, the other half of the team, is a full developer. So both back and front ends, full stack. And so we'd been working together on not gaming but other kind of building systems for companies.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, and so yeah, I had this idea and I raised it with him, and so yeah, we decided to join forces and yeah, build this game.
Okay, cool,
Yeah, so we're
cool.
not actually a game studio. We're just two guys who had an idea and yeah, built it.
Oh, it's just like a passion project.
Yeah, essentially. And yeah, we both have jobs, and this is kind of a side hustle for us.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of it. Disney Dwarves, like, when did it first come about? Like, was it like how many years ago? Like, things like that.
Yeah, I'll have to stretch my memory back, but it was at least probably 2017, twenty
Hmm.
sixteen when the idea first came about. And it's an interesting, we originally came into it thinking, 6 months, 9 months, maybe a year at most to
Okay.
get it all the way done and dusted. And we kind of got there. We got about 90% of the way there in a year, but that last 10% was just killer. Um, yeah, we just had we had after a year it was pretty much 90% built. So when we started, we had thought to use React. Because we thought it would be nice and neat and simple to use. But as we kept, Jason spent probably about two months just trying to hook it up. But it became clear that we weren't going to get where we wanted to get to using React. So it wasn't built for that in mind.
Okay.
So we pivoted over to Unity at that stage, and that was fantastic. And
Okay.
Unity is such a great product.
Okay.
And so
That's cool.
yeah, we went through. So Jason basically does all the dev and tech stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I took care of everything else. So game idea, concept, you sourcing all the different team members that we needed. So we found an artist who we liked the style of to get the game artwork done. The sounds, and looking into legal stuff, and then just game design. So Jace built essentially the framework, and then he built it in such a way that I could then design the levels just by kind of dragging and dropping things and placing them onto our road essentially. And then it took about a year to get to we had a product, and it was almost there. And at that stage, Jace, the code was just getting too complicated, so he had to refactor things.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, we just started having issues from that point. It didn't make any sense. What the refactor shouldn't have had kind of any bearing on the game, but we just ended up with problems. And from that point, it was, man, 2 to 3 years of just bug fixing and testing, and the game wasn't quite right. And because it's quite a challenging game, and it's a game based on speed, so the levels get faster and faster, and so the game has to be quite responsive.
Right.
And we just started having issues, and some of it wasn't us. It was the technology. So
Right.
a new iOS build would be very battery intensive, and so we'd notice it like playing well for maybe 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes it would start to lag just slightly. But when your game's highly dependent on the speed and responsiveness, those microsecond lags just were killer. And so it was a bit of a frustrating journey towards the end of it, but we finally got there.
That's cool. Sounds like you went through the growing pains of it. Like like, okay, we know
100%.
what we're up against. Is like how to fix it. Like as you were working on the game, though, do you like post like daily logs, like what was fixed, what needs to be fixed, like, or like where people were giving you feedback, like how the game
Yeah,
performed.
we didn't actually have a community or anything like that at that stage. So we only have we kind of built the game and then started to build our online presence after that.
Okay.
At that stage, we didn't have a community or a live Twitter feed, and we weren't kind of keeping everybody updated as to progress on the game or anything like that. It was just Jason and I. We used something which is nice and simple called Basecamp,
Okay.
and that was our Jira essentially, where we could just post bugs and we communicated with each other that way, and it worked nicely for us.
That's cool. Because I'm sure like you two have like your daily meetings, like meeting of like say how the game is performing, like probably what needs to be fixed here, and like basically just bringing your ideas together just to make it.
Yeah, 100%. And we were juggling because we were both. I had my consultancy business. He was freelancing essentially. So, we had our other side gigs. Stuff that paid us money that we
Right.
needed to take care of as well. So it was, we had to be realistic with our expectations of how quickly we could fix things and test things.
Okay. Yeah, as far as the game itself, like who came up with the idea? Was it you or is it Jason?
Yeah, it was me. And yeah, I've been asked this question. It came together really very quickly. So that initial concept of, I wonder what would happen if, if you were playing a game and your controls reversed. Very quickly after that, it was, I wonder how that would go with when it gets faster. And then we came up with Drunken Dwarves. So originally we were going to call it Drunken Dwarves. So, you end up you're running into one of these ales, and then your dwarf would get dizzy or drunk, and then your controls would reverse, and that would go for 10 seconds or so, and then it would switch back. But we had to end up changing the title. It cut me a little to have to change that title, but we got advice from someone who worked at Apple who said they'd never be able to feature the game at all on like indie app of the week or something like that, because it would have to be with that title and with that concept. It would have to be 15 plus, and they can't promote any of the free apps. So we kind of had to think about that, and changed to Dizzy Dwarves, and the jugs of beer became potions.
Uh-huh.
And it became turned from Drunken Dwarves to Dizzy Dwarves at that stage. But the concept came pretty quickly, maybe within the space of half an hour, and then from that we kind of built the additional elements. So originally, it's a dodge 'em type game where you're running down and dodging things. And we originally, had just fixed inanimate objects. But as we started kind of looking at the game and thinking about the game, we decided to add a couple of more interesting elements. So we've got 4 live enemy characters, and they have distinct like motion patterns. So basically just to add to the interest of the game and also the challenge.
That's cool. What's the plot of the game? Is like, I don't know, without giving too much away.
So essentially, there's a Heartstone, which is basically the lifeblood of this dwarven kingdom, and it's been stolen by the boss, and he's taken it away. And so you have to go and try to retrieve the Heartstone. And so as the protagonist runs away, he's dropping these little bits of Heartstones. And so in each level, you basically have to collect these little Heartstones to complete the level, and then also dodge all the enemies to get to the end as well. And so we've got to 40 levels with a couple more planned, but there's no end to the game as such. And so it's more, if you think about Flappy Birds, it's kind of in that genre of
like infinite levels. It's like
it's not an infinite level, but the levels get challenging. So we wanted to break it up so it's not an infinite scroller. So if you die, you don't have to start all over again.
Right.
And if you do die, there's no limit to your lives. You can just keep going and going and going. So each level you can just keep trying. And so instead of having an infinite scroller where if you died, you might have to start at the very beginning again, we chopped it up into levels. So you can, have these discrete points where you're like, okay, I've completed something.
Okay. Speaking of the gameplay, like any other game or any other source was the inspiration behind it. Like, It's just like, or just like the fantasy setting itself.
Yeah, we came up with Drunken Dwarves pretty easily. Not that we're massively into fantasy. I do like the fantasy genre, but we didn't build it with fantasy in mind. We built it with concept in mind.
Right.
And Drunken Dwarves just came naturally as a game title. And Jason and I both liked it, and so then the design of the game came from that rather than having that in mind, and then coming up with the game title after that, if you know what I mean.
Right. That's cool. About as far as the gameplay, I was like, it comes like concepts like that. I think of Legend of Zelda, like one of those fantasy games back. Even though the gameplay, two different gameplays and things like that, it's just fantasy in my life.
I think Donkey Kong would be the closest, where you're running around just dodging those cannonballs essentially.
Oh yeah, all the barrels and everything. Yep.
Yeah, instead of the barrels, you're running down the screen and dodging boulders and spiders, snakes, ghosts, bats, that type of thing. But yeah, while there's an element of exploration because you need to collect these heartstones that are floating around. So you need to explore the road, and it's not, it's about nine spaces wide. So you can move, if you were dead center, you can move 4 this way and 4 that way. But you can't see the whole road just running straight down. So there is an element of exploration. Mm-hmm. And then it's really just a, reflex type game where you're running down and you have to dodge everything in your path and collect these heartstones along the way. And then, as you progress through the levels, it gets harder and harder.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy games like that. It's like the concept of always being on your toes, like testing your reflexes. Things like, because the old school games, they'll teach you well about that. So.
Yeah, 100%. And, if I remember back to a kid, I'd spent hours on,
right,
just such simple games, but I loved it, right?
Yeah, because, like I said, Donkey Kong was a great teacher. It's like, hey, know how to dodge this, how to keep going, or times I died, I know how to, dodge this, like, just avoid the same mistakes and things like that.
And so that was really the original thought. So imagine that, but then sometimes your controls are reversed as you get into the crazy levels. We thought we had an interesting concept and something that would be challenging for players.
All right. Speaking with the gameplay, do you ever think about say this game was selling great? Do you ever think about expanding on it, or possibly do a sequel, or things or is that in your future plans?
Yeah, definitely. So we've done 40 levels, and they're all based essentially underground. And so, if the game does well and we get the opportunity, we definitely want to expand and add more levels. And so the concept would be we take it above ground and then ultimately to the castle where the protagonist lives, essentially. And so, there's definitely some things we've thought about in terms of how that will look, but then we also have flexibility as to how we want to finish up the game, essentially.
Awesome. That's cool. Other than that, say aside from the Dwarves games, do you have any ideas, any other games that you want to create on your own or with your team? Or things like that, something that's probably not fantasy based, or something probably another passion project that you want to do.
Yeah, not at the moment, not in terms of games. So I've got an idea for a website, but again, we really need to think about one thing at a time and focus on one thing at a time and try to do it well. So at the moment, we're trying to market the game, and Jason and I, neither of us are marketers, so it's a brand new skill set that we have to try to learn and navigate.
Right.
But yeah, we really want to, we were tempted because this game was taking so long to branch out and maybe start on this website idea as well. But yeah, it was taking so long. We wanted to get something done. Otherwise, we'd probably end up with 2 or 3 projects which never ended up being released, essentially.
Yeah, I'd say like with this game, you just want to get your foot in the door and get it out there. And I mean,
yeah, 100%. And it was really just a learning experience for us. And like we said, we thought, why not? And 100,000 people out there have ideas all the time, right? And
yeah, because I took a look at your website and like about the game itself. I like the presentation, like the story layout, how it was laid out, the the profile of each character. Like, I mean, that's a really cool concept. So I'll definitely it's a great job on that. Definitely commend you and your team, like the way you presented it. I mean, like basically right now, like this game is on mobile, right?
Yep. So available both on Apple and Android. Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Do you ever plan on putting it on PC, or is it just like not in the cards at the moment?
We did think about it. It just the way that it is laid out and scaled. There's no reason we couldn't. Unity allows for us to put it easily onto PC.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's vertical play,
right?
So when you play it on a laptop or PC, you're going to have only maybe a third of your screen in use. So, but there's no reason we couldn't.
Yeah, because it seems like a cool game. I can play like on say like Steam or Epic game stores, like, or like I said, like since it's mobile and like, it's good to take on the go. Like I can play it on my phone, on my tablet. It's like, say, man, I'm going on a trip. I was like, hey, something I can play and challenge and stuff like that before going into any appointments, things like that. So I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, from what I've seen of it, looks really cool. So, I mean,
yeah, appreciate it. So for Jason, the way we interact with games is purely through mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the original thought was always let's just build something for mobile, and we'll consider PCs and other engines afterwards. But yeah, the primary goal was to put it on mobile.
That's cool. Is this game available right now? Is it all?
Yep, and it's free to play. You basically just have ads. If you want to go ad free, it's very cheap. So you pay $1 US or $2 US.
Okay.
And yeah, you go ad free forever.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to try it out and see it for myself.
Yeah, fantastic. So there's a tutorial. So the first thing you'll hit is a tutorial. Just takes you through the basics of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Level 1 we've made reasonably easy, but some people say it's still really hard on level 1. But then the challenge goes pretty incrementally hard from there. So once you get to about level 10, you're going to be struggling to get through a level. But one of the things that kind of kept us going as we were building it and testing it was you'd struggle on this level for half an hour, whatever it's going to be. That's once you pass that level, though, just that you want to scream in your face like to the phone. And it kind of kept us going because we thought, when you get that reward at the end of just that satisfaction of finishing a difficult level, we thought we had something.
All right, that's real cool. Like I said, that's basically all the questions I have. I was like I said, and appreciate you, Peter, and showing up your game. Like I said, to you and Jason, I mean, you did a great job on this game. I can't wait to try it and get my little feedback to it. So yeah, before we close out, like you know what, tell everyone out there where they can find you at, or where they can follow you.
Yep. So Twitter, we're at DC Dwarves, and if you want to find the game, just type in Dizzy Dwarves in any of the app stores, you'll find it. And then yeah, we have a website, dizzydwarves.com. So all very simple.
All right, and there you have it, folks. All right, that concludes it. Of course, I'm your host, Sinister. You can follow me on my social media. On my Twitter handle is Country19, which you see on the screen. And you also can follow me on Instagram. It's Sinister1019. And that concludes our show, folks. Stay tuned for the next one.
Thanks for having us.
All right, you're welcome.
Take it easy.
All right.